All right, we're talking about the last lesson in this chapter. We're going to learn about evaluating expressions. So some of the vocabulary that we need to understand. An expression is simply a combination of numbers, variables, and operation symbols. So we can have whole numbers or integers, and x and y and ABC, and then a plus or a minus, multiply or divide. A variable is a letter or a symbol used to represent an unknown quantity. So a lot of times we think of solving for x or y, so those are all variables. So let's look at our key concept. Expressions can be evaluated for a given value of a variable. So they give us this expression 2y minus 4, and we are asked to evaluate when y is equal to negative 2. All this means that in this original expression, we're going to substitute in a negative 2 in place for that y. So here's the 2 from the expression. In place of y, we're putting a negative 2 minus 4. Now we're going to simplify. And 2 times a negative 2 is a negative 4. And we bring across our negative 4. So negative 4 minus 4 is equal to negative 8. Okay, let's look at another example. Here we're asked to evaluate when y is equal to 10. So we're using the exact same expression, but this time in place of y, we're going to put a 10. So now we have 2 times 10 is 20, minus 4 is 16. Yet again, we're asked to evaluate when y is equal to 5/10, or it's 1/2. Same thing. So in place of y, we're going to put the 5/10. So 2 times 5/10 minus 4. So half of 2 is 1. Minus 4 is a negative 3. Okay, very good. So when evaluating expressions with more than one variable, we're going to replace each variable with the given value. Up here in our key concept, we only had one variable, but sometimes you may have more that you need to replace. Then follow the order of operations to simplify. In geometry, formulas can contain expressions that are evaluated to find a characteristic of a figure. So let's see what that looks like in example 1. In example 1, we're asked to evaluate this expression. Now don't panic just because it looks a little bit complicated. What we have to do is when we're going to rewrite that expression, but for every place there's a variable, we're just going to put a parentheses. That's going to help hold all our spots. If you do that every time, that'll help keep you from making errors. So in place of a D, we've got this parentheses. Here is where our A goes, our B, and our C. Now we're told to evaluate it when A is 1. So whenever you see the A, you're going to put a 1 there. So that's why the 1 is here. B is 4. So B is this numerator, so 4 goes up in the numerator. C is 2. So here we have C in the denominator. So that's where the C goes. We're going to put a 2 there. And D is equal to 3. So D is on the outside of the parentheses. So we're going to put a 3. Now we're going to rewrite it and substituting the proper values in for the variables. Now the first thing we need to do, we're going to follow the order of operations, which means we're going to work within the parentheses. But remember I told you last time that a fraction bar is also a grouping symbol? So we could start to simplify right away by working this first grouping symbol. What is 4 divided by 2? Why, it's 2. Now we're going to work within the parentheses. 1 plus 2 is 3. And we have a 3 on the outside, so 3 times 3 is 9. So I want you to pause the video and take time to work this one on your turn. They've given you expression and they've given you values for the variables. Then come back in a moment and we'll go over your answers. Okay, as we see, we've left open places for each of the variables. So in this one, we should put, that one was an x, so we're going to put a 1. This y is negative 2. And this z is 10. So we're going to have negative 3 plus a negative 2 divided by 10. So we're going to start with our numerator. A negative 3 plus a negative 2 is going to give us a negative 5 over 10, which reduces to a negative 1 over 2, negative 1/2. Good job, gentlemen. Okay, let's move forward to another example. Now here we're using actual geometric formulas. We're talking about the formula for the area of a triangle. We're told that the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 of its base times height. And they're telling us here that the base is the length of the base and h is the height of the triangle. Now they're wanting us to find out what this area is, so we're solving for A if B is 6 and h is 3. So all we have to do is rewrite the formula, leaving spaces for the variables. So B and h. Now we have two open sets of parentheses. We're told that B is 6 and h is 3. So now let's start doing the math. Following the order of operations, what is 1/2 of 6? 1/2 times 6 is simply half of 6. That'll be 3. So that's what we've placed here. Now 3 times 3 is 9. So notice we still work that left to right. So if the area of the triangle is 9 inches squared, if the base is 6 inches and the height is 3 inches. So now your turn. So pause the video. I want you to read this problem and fill in the blanks, and then come back and we'll go over your answers. All right, here we're using the distance formula. I like to call this my dirt formula. See, DRT, dirt. That's how I remember. Distance is equal to rate times time. Okay, we're asked to find the distance traveled at a rate of 55 miles per hour for 3 hours. Okay, so let's rewrite the formula. And we're going to put two sets of parentheses here, one for rate and one for time. Now we're going to go in, and this is what this line right here is what this line should look like. But now we're going to fill in these blanks. So the rate is, we're told it's 55, and the time is 3 hours. So now we're going to follow the order of operations. So D is equal to 55 times 3, which is 165 miles. Excellent. Okay, now I want you to take just a moment. You guys can work the guided practice together and get ready to turn that in. And when you finish with that, you can restart the video because we'll do another little step by step. All right, time for step by step. We are asked to evaluate the expression AC. So what operation is being performed here? That's A times C plus B times C divided by D. And they want us to evaluate it when A is equal to 4, B is equal to 3, C is equal to negative 10, and D is equal to 2. So we have gotten this written down, and we've put empty parentheses in every place we need it. So all we have to do is go in and fill in our blanks. So A is 4, C is negative 10, B is 3, goes there, C is negative 10, goes here, and D is this one, and we put a 2 there. So now following our order of operations, we have got a 4 times a negative 10, so we're going to have negative 40 plus, so write negative 40 plus, we've got a 3 here, but we've got a negative 10 divided by 2. That's going to give us a negative 5. So we're going to have negative 40 plus 3 times negative 5. That equals negative 40 plus negative 15. And that's going to equal a negative 55. Okay, why don't you practice this a little bit and evaluate these expressions? You guys can work those together, and then when you agree on the answers, then turn the video back on and we'll go over one more step by step. All right, this is our last step by step, and we have another word problem. So just like before, I want you to write down the problem, read it very carefully, underline the key words. Tell me, what are you going to do to solve the problem? To solve the problem, I will. So what have we been doing throughout this whole lesson? Then I want you to give me the answer. I want you to solve it. And then how would you check your answer? So pause the video and come back in a little bit and see that your answers are correct. So how did you do on that one? I underlined the keywords, this formula that they're giving us, and the fact that measures the temperature of a mixture in science class as 30 degrees. So that's extremely important. So we're going to substitute in 30 degrees for our C, and then we begin to do the math. Now, remember, whenever you're multiplying a whole number by a fraction, you can go 30 times 9 divided by 5. That's where they got the 54. So if your calculator doesn't do fractions, that's very simple. 30 times 9 divided by 5, or the whole number times the numerator and divide by the denominator, because notice that's telling us we need to divide that. So 54 plus 32, the mixture is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. So to solve the problem, I will substitute a 30 in for C in the formula. Did you get that? Get an answer of 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, to check your answer, you can substitute 86 in for F, and then you can see if it's equal or not. Do you come up with what the 30 degrees centigrade? So you can put 30 in for C and 86 for F, and both sides should be equal. Very good, gentlemen. Now you're ready to begin the rest of your problems, the skills, concepts, and problem solving. Good luck, and don't forget to turn it in when you're finished.